Good evening, everyone. Thank you for jumping on tonight's Millionaire Mentorship call with Miss Karla Pacheco. While you're zooming in, please introduce yourselves, let us know where you're calling in from, and also be sending out those last-minute text messages. We're going to have a very powerful call tonight.
Philip from Jacksonville, Florida.
Welcome, Philip.
Michael in South Carolina.
Welcome.
Yeah, Michael, also from Jacksonville, Florida.
Welcome, Michael. Welcome.
Jeremy Dennis, Festus, Missouri.
Welcome, Jeremy.
Hey, it's coffee, America's favorite beverage.
There you go. Welcome, Coffee.
Chris from Corona, California.
Hey, what's up, Chris? Welcome.
What's going on?
Leslie Johnson, South Carolina. Let's go.
Let's go. Welcome, Leslie.
Kathy Jewell, Houston, Texas.
Hey, Kathy.
Yes,
Welcome.
hi. This is Barbie from Arizona here, speaking through an interpreter.
Great to have you, Barbie.
Candy, Houston, Texas.
Welcome, Candy.
Kyrie John in New York City.
Hey, Kari. Welcome.
Laura Johnson, South Carolina.
Welcome.
Johnny Cordova, Orange County, California.
Welcome, Johnny.
Idris Alaka, Brooklyn, New York.
Welcome, Idris.
Johnny G, Columbia, South America.
Wow. Welcome, Columbia.
Houston, Texas.
Hello, Angel. Welcome.
Lonnie, Florence, South Carolina.
Welcome, Lonnie.
Thank you.
Karla Wynn in Maryland.
Welcome, Karla. Welcome.
Ava Harper, Texas.
Welcome, Ava.
Damian Davis, Atlanta, Georgia.
Welcome. As you're coming on, please introduce yourselves. Let us know where you're calling in from, and let's send out those last few text messages to get everybody on board on tonight's call.
Down in California.
Welcome.
Gabby Tolver, Florida.
Welcome, Gabby. Welcome.
Clement, Amsterdam, New York.
Welcome. Did everybody get a chance to introduce yourselves? Let's send out those last few text messages.
Derek coming in from Houston, Texas.
Welcome.
Hi, it's Sabrina from Houston.
Welcome, Sabrina.
Hi, Francisco Garcia from Atlanta, Georgia.
Welcome, Francisco. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. We'll give it a few more minutes. Please grab something to write with. We're going to need to take some good notes on tonight's call. Send out your last few text messages. Let your team know that we're about to go live in a few minutes.
Man, I'm excited, Juan.
Yeah, bro. Me
I don't
too.
know about you, but I'm excited. I
am.
think, man, I think Karla is the sharpest person in this company, dude.
I agree.
Sorry, Danny, you taught her too well, man. You know what I mean? The student surpasses the teacher, man. So, got to be honest, man.
Good evening, everybody. Dawn from Houston.
Hey, Don, welcome.
Hi.
Hello, this is Chris from Long Beach, California.
What's up, Chris? Welcome.
Ed Ayala, Dominican Republic. Saludos a todos.
Welcome, Ed. Saludos.
Saludos a todos, el puertorriqueño viviendo en Dominica, ¿cómo se dice en español?
República Dominicana.
República Dominicana. There you go.
Bueno,
See,
Jay,
I'm over here trying to show off my Spanish, and then I get caught mid-Spanish. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro.
Jay, you sound like me when I got to the DR 13 years ago. It was a little not steady
Yeah.
Spanish. You got to think about it, right? Sometimes you got to think about what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
Habla español un poquito.
Qué bien, qué bien. Era mi primer lenguaje, imagínate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Y mientras tanto, en Colombia habla el gringo. Imagínate pues.
Cierto, cierto.
We're gonna start doing some Spanish classes in these millionaire mentorship trainings as well, you know?
Kip from Houston, Texas.
Welcome, welcome.
Denver, Colorado.
Impresionante.
All right, all right.
Entonces,
Well, before we get started, I'd like to take the opportunity to announce a couple of things that should be announced. Ladies and gentlemen, Mentor Factory is less than 2 weeks away, so make sure that you are pushing right now more than ever before to get your team and yourself to the Mentor Factory. It is like the Millionaire Mentorship trainings, the best of the Millionaire Mentorship trainings, but on steroids for 8 hours on Friday and 8 hours on Saturday. Friday is all about sales training, okay? And Saturday is all about recruiting and team building. We're going to have a panel of the top sellers being interviewed, 5 or 6 of the top sellers in the company being interviewed on stage. And you guys are going to be able to ask questions as well. And then on Saturday, we're also going to have a panel of the top team builders and the top recruiters on stage being interviewed. And once again, you're going to be able to ask those questions. It is the most powerful training that the company has on a yearly basis. This is our first annual. I've done this. This is my 4th year doing the Mentor Factory, but first time doing it with BYLD, right? Some of you guys, those of you guys that have been to the Mentor Factory, if you guys can put in the chat, right? If you're excited about the Mentor Factory, some of these people are coming for the 3rd year, 4th year in a row to Mentor Factory. So that tells you something about the quality of the training that you're going to get. So make sure that you guys are ready to go, and make sure that you got your mental track shoes on for today's training, because I'm not going to introduce her yet, but I'm just letting you know, you guys are in for a treat. There's going to be a special person that's going to be introducing our trainer for today, but put your mental track shoes on, because you're in for every time she trains, she always gives tremendous value. She's one of my mentors, not only on a business level, but also on a personal level as well. So I look at her and her husband like my big brother and big sister, right? I love them very, very much. They're very dear friends of mine. So I'm excited that you guys get to learn from them. And guess what? She's going to be also training at the Mentor Factory. So anyways, back to you, Juan.
Ready? Are we ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is not Juan. This is actually Build-A-Bear, also known as Daniel Pacheco. And I just want to welcome everybody to tonight's special Millionaire Mentorship Zoom. It is my pleasure, my privilege to present our trainer tonight. And I've known this person for now 26 years. I've been working side by side with her for that entire time. And I got to tell you that this is a different type of introduction, because I heard a couple of comments earlier on, and I agree with them wholeheartedly. I was telling a story to one of my children the other day that usually in every sales organization, every company organization, every startup, every new venture that I get involved in, it kind of usually it turns into, somebody asking me questions based on experience, based on past successes. But I got to tell you that if I had to go to one person over the course of the last 26 years to bounce an idea off of, to evaluate something, to get advice, to get the right information, the right feeling, the right mentorship, the right, even asking, what am I missing? And to have somebody like that God put in front of me, and I've been able to learn from and share with for 26 years. Yesterday, you know, we celebrated our 24th anniversary, and I got to say that she is the absolute greatest gift that God has ever bestowed upon me. Not on a personal side, 1,000%. Outside of salvation, the number one gift in my life. But as far as her business acumen, her experience. When I met her, she was running the company that I was hired to, you know, come on board as a salesperson. And immediately I saw the experience, the knowledge, the intuitiveness, and the speciality of being able to convey a message in intangible sales like nobody had ever seen. And through that time, I've seen her get certifications after certifications. She's a coach, a speaker, a trainer with the John Maxwell organization. She's gotten other certifications from some of the top coaching programs in the industry. And really, if I could tell you one thing about her is that whatever she sets her mind in, she is going to be successful. She's a 7-figure earner, 8-figure earner, and I am proud and honored to be presenting my wife, my best friend, my partner, Karla Sanchez Pacheco. Take it away.
Thank you. Wow. That's those are very, very beautiful words. Thank you, baby. And thank you, JC, for the words you've shared about me as well. And I'm just excited because I know that you guys are always poured into by the creme de la creme, the top tier trainers in the industry. Are some are, you know, it's interesting the way they've been gravitated into this company, and they pour into you over and over again with skill sets and mindsets and success principles and all of that. And today I get to share about one of my favorite topics, and that is money and wealth. And you know, that's it's something that's called to me since I was a child, and I've been drawn to it, and just the wealth principles and the strategies, and just and it's no coincidence that I was drawn to it, and I know that it's part of my calling. And to share with you and to see people, what lights me up the most is seeing people reach financial breakthroughs and just transforming their life. And hang on one second. They're asking me to start my video. Okay. So to start, to transform those, you know, people's lives. And the idea here is not just to create an opportunity that you can leverage, where you have people like Mr. JC Rangel, and you have people like Mr. Wences Navarro, and you have my husband, Daniel Pacheco, and you have Ed Silva, and you have Sam Bean, and you have all these people that you get to leverage their expertise, their knowledge, their skill sets, and their business acumen that they're pouring into this to create this business opportunity for you. But on top of that, what we want you to do, we don't want you to just leverage it to create an income. We want you to build generational wealth. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because this training is for everyone. You know, the ones that are going to benefit the most are going to be the people that have big dreams, bold income goals, and are ready to make it come true. Those are the people I like to work with. I will work with anyone and everyone that wants help, but the people that I'm most passionate about helping are those people that have the big dreams, the bold income goals, and they're ready to make them come true. And if that's you, chime in the chat, because you're who this was designed for. This particular training is for you. See, we're going to be sharing today 3 wealth principles, okay? I'm going to share with you 3 wealth principles that are going to transform what you believe about money and what you believe about wealth, because money and wealth are 2 different things as a concept. You know, they're 2 different things. They can mean 2 different things. We give them different meanings. And so I want to talk about those 2 things, and I want to talk about wealth principles. Now, also, I'm going to share some exercises with you that are going to help you reach higher levels of income and how to keep more of that wealth as well. Okay. So we're doing this so that you can break through to those higher income levels, so you can make more money than you've ever experienced before. But we also want you to be able to keep more of that money, and we want you to be able to transform that income into accumulated wealth. Okay. And if that's what you want, then you're in the right place. So I'm going to start right in with wealth principle number one. And I have to just a little pause here. I have to share with you that one of the hardest things for me to do when it comes to training is putting together a training. I mean, I have probably over 1,000 classes that I can do. I have probably over 100 courses. I probably have over 10 certification courses that I can give, all on the topic of money, money transformation, wealth breakthrough. I have the wealth creation profiles. There's so much. And the hardest thing is not diving deep into every one of the topics. So we're going to keep it light today. But even with what we do share, you're going to see that, you know, and I want to hear, at the end of this, I want to hear what your aha moments are. If for someone receives a breakthrough just by something you heard, and sometimes I'm going to have a coach's request for you here. Sometimes when we hear things, we have heard it before. And I find that one of the biggest self-sabotage strategies that we do is because we've heard it before and it's not new, we don't pay as much attention to it, and we don't focus our attention. We fall into the trap of getting distracted with other things, or to just, you know, moving on. Yeah, I know that. Well, yeah, but see, I have sat in trainings where I have probably heard the same thing I've heard maybe 1,000 times, but I'm at a different place in my life. I'm at a different moment, and it's exactly what I needed to hear, through a different perspective, through a different lens, or I can apply it in a different way. So I'm going to ask you to really focus on what we're talking about today, take some notes, and ask yourself, how does this help me today? Okay, so wealth principle number one is wealth begins in your mind, not in your wallet. And that's a major one, because it's also not in your talents or your skills. Now, I'm not contradicting myself. You need the talents. The talents help. The skills are what you need, right? You need the skills you want for the results you want, right? The skills you need for the results you want. That's necessary. That's why we have Mentor Factory. That's why we have training almost every day for you. That's why you want to even supplement with training that's outside of the company as well, because the skill sets are the success skills, right? That's what you need. That's the vehicle that's going to get you there. But I have seen time and time again people with phenomenal skills, natural talent beyond what anybody else has, and yet I don't see them getting the results that other people with maybe not as much skill, not as high as skill sets, and not as strong as talents, right? And they get outperformed over and over again. And so, but that wealth principle is so important. And the reason I say it is because if having a big vision and being great at what you do were all it takes, if that was all it takes, if the skill sets and the talent and the vision and the hard work was all it takes, then most people would be wealthy and successful. But that is not the case. And so instead, what we see, what is most common, is that you dedicate countless hours and dollars to learn the skills, to work hard in and out. Sometimes we start a business and we're working longer hours than we did when we had a 9-to-5 job, right? Like, it doesn't go away. So sometimes you have so much work, effort, time, and energy, and you don't earn the amount of money that you want. You just don't see the results. Maybe you're on the trainings, maybe you're doing the 8-point system, and you're just not seeing the results, okay? Or you do see the results. Maybe you're a top performer everywhere you've gone, but you always find yourself in this vicious cycle, this never-ending cycle of feast and famine. What does feast and famine mean? That's a cycle where you make a ton of money, but somehow it just slips through your fingers and you're not able to retain it. You're not accumulating wealth. And so I'm not going to ask you to chime in on which one you are, right? You know who you are. You're going to self-select, and we're going to help you out today. So what's the difference between those who can earn a lot of money, keep more of that money, and have more accumulating wealth, and those who hit against that wall over and over again? That seems like you either always cap out at a certain income, or you cap out at a certain dollar amount in your bank account. What's the difference between those people that can make top income earners, that can keep more of that money they make, and they can convert that into accumulating wealth. And those who either have that challenge of not being able to produce a lot of money or aren't able to keep a lot of money. And so why does this happen? What's missing? What's the missing component between those two scenarios? Well, it's programming your wealth paradigm. It doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, where you're from, what you do, how much you earn, how much you have. It doesn't matter to me if you're earning your first $1,000 with the company, if you've made $10,000, if you're a six-figure earner, a multiple six-figure earner, if you're $1 million earner, a multiple $1 million earner, if you're in between millions, doesn't matter. We all are already pre-programmed with a wealth paradigm, okay? And that's I think most people live by default, not by design, when it comes to their wealth paradigm. So what is your wealth paradigm? What is your wealth paradigm? That's the question. What is your wealth paradigm? What have you absorbed and how has it impacted your life? What blocks keep you from making more money, keeping more money, and accumulating wealth? I'm going to say that over and over again because that's how I want you to get programmed about making more, your focus on making more money, keeping more money, and accumulating wealth. Many times we don't focus on all three. Everyone I've encountered, and I've encountered people, I've coached people from all sorts of different income levels, okay, and net worths. And everyone, no matter where they're at, they all are in need of experiencing a transformation in the area of money and wealth because the beliefs about money and wealth are a mirror to other areas of your life. We focus a lot, the Bible it talks more about wealth than any other subject, even salvation. Why? Because it's a mirror. Because wealth is a great way of measuring things. And I'm not saying to measure your self-worth. No, by all means, no. That's not what this is about. What I'm saying is that there's a saying, how you do money is how you do everything. Whether you agree with that or not, what's going to happen is that some of the behaviors and patterns and paradigms and beliefs and emotions that surround the topic of money in certain scenarios, you're going to see it show up somewhere else in your life as well. And it's going to impact as well. So especially if you want to keep what you have and grow it into more, then you need to reprogram your wealth paradigm. Otherwise, you're going to self-sabotage yourself back into your pre-programmed money and wealth settings because we have those. Just like your thermostat, and this one, I don't know why it's not working today. Just like your thermostat is set to a certain degrees of, for cold or hot, you set it to a certain amount and then you set it and forget it. That's kind of what's happening with your mind as well when it comes to wealth. You have certain settings for money, how much you'll produce. You have certain settings for wealth and how much you'll accumulate, how much you'll keep, how much you'll have. You have all of these things. The question is, how aware are you of what those dollar amounts are? So at the root of everything you're going to find a collection of unconscious beliefs and agreements that dictate our behavior, our feelings, our thoughts, and our emotions. All of that is your wealth paradigm. Now, tell me if any of this are topics that sound familiar to you, or if this is all brand new to you. Tell me in the chat. I have a little bit of a homework for you. And we're not done, by all means. This is just one of the wealth principles I'm going to share with you. So I have a little bit of homework with you because we're not going to dive into this today, but this is more like an awareness exercise. I want you to take a piece of paper, pull out your phone, grab your notes, and put homework. And I want you to put on there, what are my stories? Okay, when it comes to money, when it comes to wealth, when it comes to needs, and when it comes to poverty. Okay. This is one aspect of your wealth paradigm. What do I mean by it? Well, what I mean by it is, what does money, we give everything meaning, okay? We give these things a very unique meaning. And some of it may be similar, but then when we put it all together, your wealth paradigm is going to be very different than mine. It's going to be mine and Danny's are very different, even though we've been together longer than not, you know, I've known him longer in my life than not. And so, you know, we've been together all this time. We've done so many things together. We share bank accounts, and yet our wealth paradigms, we're going to have some similarities, but some of them are going to be very different. And so what does money, the word money, what does it mean to you? What does making money mean to you? What, in your mind, what does it say about you to make a lot of money? What does it say about you not to make money? What does it say about you when others make a lot of money? Because sometimes the meaning we give to something, for example, wealth. What does it mean to you to be wealthy? What does it mean for you, for someone else to be wealthy? What does it mean about them? These are things that if we do a coaching session, you'd be shocked at the things that come up. And we're working with Mr. Wences Navarro from Smart Money Club to add some coaching club and groups, and also to do some money courses like this, where we really dive deep. And on those, we will do like hot on the spot coaching and bring out some of those things as well. And so as far as needs, what does it mean to you to be able to cover your needs? What does it mean to you when you can't cover your needs? And also, what does it mean to you to have more than what you need? And when I ask that, I mean, what does it mean to have an abundance more of than what you need to cover? You know, some people really feel comfortable with only having being able to cover what they need. Anything outside of that, they feel they have to be covering other people's needs. Also, what does poverty mean to you? What meaning have you given it? What role does it play in your life? What role has it played in your past? These are things I want you to think about, because we're going to be doing a different session at a later date, and these things are going to help you. If you've done this homework, you're going to be ahead of the game. Wealth principle number 2. At this moment, you have everything you need and have committed to. Now, when I give you these wealth principles, I want to challenge you with something. I want you to say, what if this is true? Because this is going to be pretty triggering to some people. If I tell you at this moment, you have everything you need and have committed to. So your reality right now represents everything you need and have committed to. If that were true, what does that mean? What does it mean about you? What does it mean about your beliefs? So I'm going to give you an example. For someone struggling, wealth is not an option. Is going to be one of the things they're thinking in their mind. Wealth is not an option. Someone struggling might say, wealth is not an option. Someone thriving, wealth is not an option. It's the same statement that they're making. The statement is accurate. The statement is true for both. But the meaning changes depending on the perspective, the energy, the emotions. All of that make up that person's paradigm. So for one person, the paradigm is wealth is not an option. I'll add for me. And the other person will say wealth is not an option, period. So wealth is not an option is really wealth is a standard. For the person thriving, wealth is a standard. You're either in alignment with this paradigm or you're not. And this is an area to work in, because in other words, we have chosen and committed to a standard, consciously or not. It's interesting. I talk to my kids a lot about, you know, one of the most important decisions in their life is who they're in relationship with. Their friends, obviously their social circle, but also more importantly, the person they are in relationship with and will be marrying. And I tell them all the time to create a list of all their non-negotiables. But before that, they need to have a vision for their life. They need to have a plan. They need to have a vision for their life. what they expect their life, and I do add the word expect, what they expect their life to look like in 5, 10 years. And then based on that clarity of what they want their life to look like, then when they're meeting friends and they're meeting potential love interest, they need to weigh in how that person matches up or is a mismatch on against that life vision. And so if they do that with their goals as well, right? Their friends, their acquaintances, business opportunities, relationship, does this take me further away from where I'm going? So it's like a route, right? It's a GPS route. If you have popped in the GPS location, you're heading towards there, something's either going to take you off route, or it's, if so, you're going to need to reroute. How hard is it going to be to reroute afterwards? So the same holds true with being able to accumulate wealth, being able to create a life where you have financial independence, but we're going beyond financial independence. We're going about being in overflow. So you create a standard, just like you create a standard of who you're in relationship with. You create a standard, what circles you're at, what groups you're connected to. Like, for example, BYLD, you're in a community of people that are like-minded, that are going after building the same type of business, and you can see a representation of the success that you want to achieve. So you create a standard, you commit to it, you make choices, and that standard, you're 100% in control of it. One of the biggest things, one of the biggest powers as human is the power of choice given to us by God. So one of the biggest powers you have, one of the most powerful things you have, is the power to make choices and to commit to them. And when you do that, it'll be life-changing. So wealth principle number 3. Your current reality was created by decisions and actions of a past version of yourself. What if this is true? What if what I'm telling you is true for you as well? Because I believe this for you. Your current reality, financially and in every other aspect, but we're talking about, we're focusing on wealth. Your current reality was created by decisions and actions of a past version of yourself. Because right now you're living the experience of your decisions and actions that began probably 90 days ago or more. You're not the same. It's not the reality of who you are right now. That's not what you're living right now. What you're living right now is the results of the decisions, actions, or lack of actions by the person that you were 90 days ago, at least. So that's good news and bad news, right? You get to redo it. You get to do it. If you're not where you want to be, if you're not happy with the results right now, then guess what? You're not the same person you were 90 days ago. You're evolving, more information, more skill sets, more opportunities that weren't there 90 days ago. So you're not the same person. So you get to make decisions differently, and you get the opportunity to create a different reality for yourself. What you got you to where you are right now will not get you where you want to be. Okay? Because if you're not there now, the past version of yourself didn't get you there. The person you are right now, if you're making decisions for your future based on who you are right now, then there's a little bit of a mismatch, and we're going to get to that in a bit. To accumulate wealth, you must make decisions for where you want to be, not from where you are now. Okay? So your future self needs to make the decisions and run the show. So far, the show has been run subconsciously by an accumulation of past versions of yourself, because there was no awareness, but you have an awareness now. And you know that if you do the deep inner work that has to do with your belief system, I don't know how long you've been in the company. If you ever saw, we did a training. I did a training for Millionaire Mindset last time around, and it was all about your self-image. You want, if you're on the Facebook group, if not, you can jump on the chat and ask about it. Ask for the link to the Facebook group or even to that particular training. And I would love for you to actually watch that training because it really talks about making decisions from where you want to be, not from where you are. It really talks about your identity, your self-identity, your perception of self, and how you view yourself, that being the most important marker for your success. Okay. And so especially if you're in a situation right now, if you're in a situation right now where you aren't in the best position financially, let's just say that, okay? If you're in a situation where you're not in the best position right now, you might end up making decisions even for your clients, your potential clients, based on where you are, not them. Sometimes, because we've been ups and downs. And I remember there was a conversation that a mentor once had with us where they said, you're making decisions from where you are, not from where other people are. Because you're in that situation, you're making a decision for somebody else you're making decisions with their pocket. And I was like, oops. Because we fall in that trap. And so sometimes within the limited view of where we are, because we're always growing, we end up making decisions that self-sabotage. And the truth is that we're making those decisions most of the time, not even consciously. That's why I say your future self needs to run the show. That's like when I'm telling my kids, and the kids, I say the kids, but they're young adults from church, and they're coming and they're talking, and we're talking about this topic of love and relationship. And I'm like, your future self, that person in that life vision is the one that needs to make a decision about who's a good match right now. And so it's the same thing with opportunities, investments, on how you run your money, where you spend your money, how you earn your money. All of that needs to be run by your future self and what you want, the person that has accumulated that wealth, the person that has maintained and grown that wealth, that version of you. Now, how do you become that version of you? Somebody's typing here. Somebody's squiggling here. How do you become that version of you? Well, it's about those decisions and those commitments that you make.
I'll find out who that is. One second.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a bonus wealth principle. Number 4. To experience continuous overflow, you're required to be in overflow. Now, this is that rule of be, do, have. Don't worry about the slides. I'll get you slides. Don't worry about it. But the rule of be, do, have. Now, you've probably heard of it before. Well, it applies to wealth as well. You have to become something first. So wealth begins in your mind, not in your pocket, right? It first starts internally. So first you have to make those decisions. You have to find out what your beliefs are. You have to find out what's at the core of those. You have to find out what agreements you made. There's money stories, there's wealth stories, there's need stories, there's all sorts of stuff. We're going to do some exercises in a bit, but there's so much more to this topic. I mean, there are sacred agreements you made at some point with somebody or with yourself based on experiences you lived where you said, I will never, I will always. And then those things drove you for a while. It was like a self-protection, and they drove you. That's what gave you your drive to never do this or to always do that, and to make certain decisions and to get through life and to do well. Okay. And they help you until they don't. And when they don't, they start becoming a crutch, or they start becoming self-sabotage. Okay. And, we'll do trainings on all of that as well. But my point is that you first have to get to the root of things in your mind, and you have to first program yourself, really reprogram. You're already programmed. So you got to reprogram yourself to who you need to be so that you're in the right mindset, the right paradigm, the right perspective, the right beliefs. So you got to reframe a lot of things in order to be that person that does those things, to be able to have And when I say have, I don't just I just say make a ton of money. I mean being able to have, to retain it, because sometimes that's where the problem comes in. So the be, do, have is very important. You have to be someone of overflow in order to behave that way so that you can have overflow in your life. So we're going to do a social experiment for this. And some of you are going to think I'm crazy. You're not going to do it. And some of you are going to say, what if she's right? Okay. So what if I'm right? I want you to do a social experiment. I want you, this is a social experience about giving out $100 and about receiving 1,000. Okay. That's not what you think. What I want you to do, and this is going to be depending on where you are financially. Preferably, you're going to your bank account or under the mattress, and you're pulling out $1,000 in $100 bills. It's important that they be $100 bills. Once you get $100 bills, maybe you can only do one, maybe you can do 5. Maybe you got to save up to do it. Doesn't matter. I want you to try and get, and actually try and implies failure. I want you to do a goal of giving out $1,000 in $100 bills. And I want you to just randomly, and I don't necessarily mean it doesn't have to be someone that's homeless. I want you to go around life, set yourself that goal, and give out 10 $100 bills to random people with no expectancy and no emotion. And that's very important. Let it not mean anything about anything. No gratitude. If you can do it in a way that's anonymous, it'd probably be better for you. But really, what I want, most people have a scarcity mindset and are going to freak out about giving $1,000 and $100 bills to random people. Most people are going to freak out. Number one. Other people are not going to freak out, but they're going to have some attachment to it. Some people are going to be attached to the $100 and it's going to hurt. Some people until it doesn't. So if that's you, keep doing it until it doesn't anymore. I'm not saying you have to give all your money right now. I'm saying sporadically, but do it until it no longer hurts. Okay. But you also can't make it mean something like some sort of exchange, gratitude even. There has to be nothing attached to it. No reward for you. No exchange. It's going to do something. It's going to break something off of you. Like as far as the meaning and representation of money for you. Now, I'm not saying to become disconnected about money. No, that's not the point. The point is that if you live in overflow, you will be, money has a purpose. There's a reason why. If you're in overflow, you need to be, when you say overflow, you think of overflow, you think of water. Imagine there's a bucket. Imagine there's a cup. And imagine you're pouring water into that cup. And whatever goes over the cup, so the cup is everything you have. And then everything that's pouring over, you're giving it out. It's going somewhere else. Someone else is going to take advantage of that water. Someone else is going to enjoy or get to somehow benefit of that water, but you've got everything you need right here. But what happens if you start coming into money? Many times what will happen is you start generating a lot of money. You either give away for an exchange to save somebody, to do something. There's some purpose behind it. It's not, there's some sort of attachment to it. Or you become really stingy and it's like stagnant. It's like water, stagnant water. What happens to it? Mosquitoes get there, it goes bad. You don't want that. You want the flow of money coming to you and through you, going through you to others as well. And you don't always give to need. Sometimes you give because you just give because for some reason that person needed to receive that, but you didn't even know that. So that's a challenge. The other one is receiving $1,000. Now, this is going to be the most triggering, hardest thing for most people. Usually this can be done attached to like sales, but we're not going to make it about sales right now. We're going to make it about wealth and abundance, and about abundance mindset. And it's not a scarcity mindset. Okay. And about being able to become detached from giving money a meaning it doesn't even correspond to it. Okay. So receiving $1,000. This is how you're going to receive $1,000. For 1,000, this is a challenge for you, and it could be in $20 denomination, could be $100, doesn't matter. Go out, random people you don't know, random people. I mean, I'm not gonna say you don't know, random as in you're going out into the world. Let's say you're in Vegas, you might run into somebody you know, that's a whole different thing. But I'm saying randomly go out and collect $1,000 with no exchange. With no exchange. Now, sometimes this exercise is done, and let's say there's an event going on. Like we could have done this at at Mentor Factory, where we could be, okay, now everybody go out and get $1,000 from random people. Just get an accumulated amount of $1,000. Go out and get it and see you in a couple of hours without giving any instruction. Some people are going to get all sorts of triggered, right? And then the second round is, okay, you know what? Who got the 1,000? Who didn't? Okay, how close did you get? Then you send out the ones that didn't accumulate that dollar amount. And then you say, okay, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go out and you're going to tell somebody. Let's see if I can remember how we do that. You're going to go out and you're going to say, excuse me, sir. I'm doing an experiment. I'd like to know, this is a social experiment. I'd like to know, what would it take for you to give me $20 or $100 or $40, whatever it is, $20 without any exchange whatsoever and feel good about it? Some might tell you, heck no, I'm not going to do that, but someone's going to give that to you. And you're going to be shocked that someone would actually do that, especially if you were struggling to give those $100 out. Anyway, it's a social experiment. Not everyone's going to do it, but whoever does it, I want to hear back from you because I want to know what it does for you when that happens. I think there's a click that happens where you realize that money, we give it all sorts of meanings that they don't belong to it. And we really complicate our life a lot more when it comes to money and wealth than it really needs to be. So anyway, let's talk about programming your wealth set points, because I think this is what's going to be the most beneficial for you right now. Now, the first one is an awareness exercise. And hopefully you have a piece of paper or your phone and you follow along. But we have different set points. Like I was talking about the thermostat, or if you want to relate it to driving and you're driving in your car and you set a certain, speed, what is it? I don't know, cruise control, whatever. You set a certain set point, right? And what ends up happening is, if you set it at a certain amount, you don't go above it and you don't go below it. If, the road kind of starts going downhill, doesn't matter. It stays, the car starts putting the brakes to keep you. If you start going uphill, it starts revving up, but it keeps you at a certain set point, a certain speed set point. Well, you have an incoming set point when it comes to money and wealth. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the incoming right now. So, number one, I want you to think about what is the average dollar amount you have earned in the last 3 years. What is it doesn't have to be exact. Some of you are going to know it down to the penny. Others are probably going to be out of sight, out of mind. But just try to do this. What is the average dollar amount you have earned in the last 3 years? So you get all 3 years, year 1, year 2, year 3, add it up, divide it by 3, and write it down. What is the average dollar amount you have earned in the last 3 years? You don't have to put it in the chat. Usually when I do coaching groups and I do courses and stuff like that, we actually become very open about dollar amounts, but I'll cut you guys some slack in this one. So Write that down. Number 2, think of the highest dollar amount you have ever earned in a 1-year period. What is the highest ever that you have ever earned in a 1-year period? Doesn't have to be this year, doesn't have to be last year, it could be 10 years ago. What is the highest dollar amount you have ever earned in a 1-year period? And notice the thoughts and the emotions that come up for you. Write it down. Okay? And then we're going to do, what's the wealth set point? Okay? So think of the dollar amount in your bank account right now. Think of the dollar amount in your bank account right at this moment. It could be, if you have several bank accounts, then accumulated in all of them, add them all up. And you just, again, don't pull out your bank account, or just an idea is fine, depending on where you are as far as how observant you are of your money and all that. Just write down what you think it is and observe the emotions and the thoughts about it, and then write it down. Number 4, think of your net worth at this moment and observe the emotions and the thoughts about it, and write it down. Now, I want to make a very important point here. This isn't about pride, and it's not about shame. Neither one. It just is what it is, and that's the whole point, right? Of not letting it mean what you've probably let it mean up until now. And so this is just awareness. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. There's just is. It just is what it is right now. And especially for you that are probably in between millions, there's no shame around it. It's just what it is right now. And then we're going to talk about your warrior line. This is another set point. So think of the lowest dollar amount you have had in your bank account. And if that's a negative, then it's a negative. And the dollar amount that pushes you into action. We all have a warrior line. We all have a dollar amount that when we dip to a certain amount, we start like, oh, taking, okay, wait. Something's, I got to do something. We got to get into action here. No, cannot be. We all have a number where we do not let it go under. That's your warrior line. Sometimes that warrior line is too low because there's so many things. We've become comfortable with even being, it's funny, they say comfortable being uncomfortable. There's no such thing. You're familiar with being uncomfortable is what it is, right? It's familiar. We know it. There's a lot of things that we'll get to in other training, in some trainings, but there's a lot of things that go into that. For example, shame around even being wealthy, right? There's certain beliefs. That's why I said those. What does it mean to be wealthy? What does it mean when someone has, 10 cars? What does it mean when someone has, in this day and age, when there's other people hurting and they have, cars and purses and watches and all sorts of stuff, and there's a contrast. What does that mean to you? There's some people that see that as wrong, or there's some people that see someone very wealthy and they immediately have assumptions about what they did to get that money, and so there's a lot of things that go to it. So all of that we will get to at some point. We will do a lot of the deep work that needs to go around that to break some things out. Right now, this is just an awareness exercise. What is your warrior line? And then we're going to do a breakthrough experiment. Okay. How much is too much? Is my question for you today. How much is too much? What do you think of when I say that? And there's some of the questions I say are very open-ended, and that's the point. It's to get your subconscious creativity running and to kind of let out some of what's under there and under lock and key in your subconscious. It's like, how much is too much? How much is too much money? How much is too much to make? There are people that believe that some people make too much money. Is that you? Can you think of certain people that make too much or have too much? How much is too much for you? Okay. And so here's what we're going to do with those dollar amounts. We're going to do some bold money and wealth goals. Okay. Whatever your warrior line is, we've got to reprogram that, because that is your panic level. That is that's the part that brings your emotions and your senses into like action mode, right? It breaks you out of maybe even some limiting beliefs that even restrict you from really achieving phenomenal success. You know, some things that hold you back, you kind of throw it out the door when you see yourself in trouble, right? Because we are survivors. And so what is that warrior line for you? Whatever that was, I want you to add 2 zeros to it. Whatever that warrior line is, I want you to add 2 zeros for it. And if that for you is uncomfortable, then you have some exploring to do as to why it's uncomfortable, because that needs to be your goal for your minimum. That's your standard. That's your minimum standard. And then you have to keep increasing it and increasing it and increasing it, because otherwise what will happen is you're going to fall into those vicious cycles that we mentioned, where you can generate funds, especially with this type of opportunity, especially with like the Mentor Factory coming up and everything you're going to be taught and how to generate all this money. And then next thing you know, you're not going to be able to keep it in your bank account, because you're going to be dropping it down, whether it's because you want to fit in with the rest of your social circle, whether it's because you're going to get criticized, because you're going to get judged, or because you're going to judge yourself, prejudging yourself because of the prejudgment you have towards other people that have that. So there's that warrior line that needs to be moving up and up and up and up and up. Maybe you need to start with 1 0 and add 2 and add 3, but you need to start moving that warrior line. And if you think I'm crazy, watch, you're never going to see your bank account again the same. When you get your commissions, you need to have a warrior line on your commissions where you will, that's your standard, minimum standard. You will not go lower than that. So one thing you can do, we talked about needs. What are your stories about your needs? Because many times what people will do about their needs is they will take what they need and they will make just enough. They will make just enough, not more. And if they make more and they start making more, they'll do it in like creeping up in smaller increments. Why? Why aren't you busting through? Why aren't you 10xing your income? There's a different story there, and it has to do with the incoming as well. So I asked you to do a dollar amount on your income, on your incoming set point. That could be your income. I asked you, what was the most you have ever, and actually what I should have said, what I'm saying now, what is the most you've ever received in dollar into your life in 1 year? Because sometimes it could be a spouse, sometimes it could be a business, sometimes it could be an inheritance, sometimes it could be an investment, and you're not even counting it because you're counting only what you produced as income by yourself. But it's really what came into your life. It could have came through a property you inherited. It doesn't matter. How did you receive that money? And I'm going to tell you, if you look at the most amount of money you've ever received in a 12-month period, in a calendar year, okay, I bet you dollars to donuts that you do spike and then you drop down. And then the rest has been pretty much the same. And if you're a phenomenal salesperson, you've probably done smaller increments or nice increments, but what you've kept in your life, what you've accumulated, there's probably been some chaos, some catastrophe, someone in need. It doesn't matter, because there's certain patterns we fall into. There's actually 5 main patterns we fall into, and we'll do a different training on that. But in that training, you'll discover what your particular self-sabotage patterns are, what your blind spots are. But there are things we do to maintain and to stay within a certain income bracket, within a certain net worth, and within a certain warrior line. And so this particular training today is more about you becoming aware of this and then focusing on those wealth principles that I mentioned and just pondering them. If this is true, how does it apply to me? And I hope that through this awareness, it starts creating a shift in your behaviors and your decisions and what you commit to as well. Because what I said was you have exactly what you need and you've committed to. So it's time to do some bold money goals, some bold wealth goals, create a new warrior line, create what that goal is for your new warrior line, create what that incoming dollar amount for your commissions, what your monthly, what your quarterly, and what your yearly incoming for your commissions is. Set a goal on what your bank account is, what you're going to maintain it at, and then what your net worth is. And then I'm going to ask you one last thing. I want you to think about what you're going to do with those funds. Because many times we see money as something so conceptual, we don't see it as something so tangible. You have an opportunity to generate so much income here. And if it'll go away just as quickly if you don't give it an assignment. Money needs an assignment. You need to give your money an assignment. And so if you give it, whether it's to give it away, yes, that's part of it. And also, what are you going to do as far as investment? Start planning that out. Do your goals, do your wealth. And then your number one task, your number one homework is to track your money every single day. I'm not talking about what you're spending. Yes, you should track that as well. But first, what I would like you to do is to take a piece of paper, number it 1 through 30, or grab a calendar that already has the days of the month there, and put in there every single day what you earned, what you've earned. Even if it's a 0 that day, trust me, whoever does this, add it to your 8-point system. You don't have to share it, but you do have to keep it in your pocket, on your desk, wherever, on your laptop, whatever. But put on there every single day how much money came in that day. And when you start seeing some zeros, watch what's going to happen. Those zeros are going to fill in almost magically. You'll see. You mark my words. Anyway, well, that's all for today. I want to thank everyone for whoever stuck around this long. I want to thank you all, and I want to tell you that I'm excited for you. I'm excited for the wealth stories that are going to come out of here. I'm excited about all the success stories that are going to come out through BYLD, and I can't wait to see you at Mentor Factory.
Great training, Karla. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Pacheco. That was amazing. Amazing. As usual, ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Pacheco is going to be speaking at Mentor Factory. She's going to be training at Mentor Factory. So I'm excited. Please show her some love. Unmute yourself. Show her some love. Put it in the chat.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Karla.
Thank
Amazing.
you. Appreciate it.
Carla.
Thank you so much.
Real deal.
Very much. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Awesome
Thank you.
training.
Awesome information.
Thank you, Karla.
I learned a lot.
Thank you, though.
Very good.
Fire.
Thanks.
Wow.
All
Thanks
right,
again.
thank you, Carla.
Very nice.
Your message was received.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
No, most definitely.
Have a good night, everybody.
Very received. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Good night.
Yes, I'm triggered.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Let's go. Okay, so I got my calendar. Let me see.